JGT, what's up, brother?
Well, I'm glad to have you on the horn, sir.
Glad to be on the horn, sir.
Listen,
Especially after a win. Go
yes,
ahead.
especially after a win, a pretty satisfying win, honestly. I mean, I know it's UMass, but they played pretty good, man.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, I think other than probably the first defensive series where we had a little bit of issue with some discipline, they did some things from a window dressing standpoint that kind of got us out of our gaps, like got the linebackers and safeties a little bit confused. And the Fumachan kid, he's a Power 5 player. I mean, he started off as a scholarship quarterback at Clemson, moved his way over to Georgia Tech, and then has found his way on the field at UMass. So it's not like he's not an athlete that's of Power 5 capability. So all things considered, and especially how we looked offensively, I think it's a win you'll take, you'll build upon, and obviously you've got a pretty good test next week in Cal.
What really stood out to you from this game? What are your big big three takeaways, Jhead?
Big three takeaways. First and foremost, the offensive line is as advertised. I felt like they dominated at the point of attack. Running backs, you've got depth there. That was probably the other thing. And then the secondary. The secondary played as well as I think that I've seen them play in the last 3 years. I was very impressed with what we did in the nickel. I thought Donovan Coffin had a hell of a game, as well as Keontae Scott. And then, Jalen Simpson, the back end at the safety position, he really seems to have found a home there. Looks very natural, very fluid in coverage. Definitely sees things very well from that position. So all in all, and I'll give you one more. I liked the various pressure packages that we utilized and the way we kind of generated some pressure. I didn't think we necessarily dominated with the front four the way you would have liked. But when we got exotic and started to bring some of those fire zone blitzes, you saw what Ron Roberts is capable of, specifically getting a little bit exotic and getting away from what maybe we were more accustomed to underneath Kevin Steele and Ian Derek Mason, where things were a little bit more keep everything in front of you. You could tell that Ron Roberts wanted to dictate in this game the way it was going to be played after that first series.
Yeah, what does that tell you about the future, man? Knowing that Ron Roberts is willing to take some risks and bring some blitzes. I mean, Donovan changed the game in the second. No, hold on. Yeah, Donovan in the second quarter, Keontae in the third quarter, blitzing, just totally wrecked what they were doing. And I mean, I know it's UMass. I mean, whatever, but like, you can use those tactics against the LSU, Alabama, Georgia, and try to get something done. I like the creativity.
I agree. We've probably leaned from a defensive philosophy standpoint of keep everything in front of you, don't give up the big play. That's kind of been the mantra of every defensive coordinator we've had from kind of Kevin Steele on. And that's not me bagging them. Everybody's got their own style. Ron Roberts is far more aggressive, and you saw that today, where he's going to kind of try to dictate to the offense as opposed to taking what him. And he's not going to be content with, if I don't get pressure with my front four, I'm not just going to stick with it. I'm going to bring blitzes from a variety of different positions and angles, and you saw that today. And look, I've watched a lot of his cut up from what he did at Lafayette, and even some of what he did at Baylor. That's just a small sample size of what he will do. He gets extremely aggressive at times. Now, the corners are going to have to hold up on the outside, and I would like to see us generate a little bit more pass rush, but we didn't have McLeod today. And McLeod makes all the difference in the world to me as far as being able to get pressure with your front four. So all things considered, I really like his style. He's going to give up some big plays because when you play that aggressively, it's going to happen. So I think Auburn fans should buckle in for that. But other than that, I mean, he's a guy that lives on negative plays and lives on chaos, and you saw it today.
Yeah, he loves talking about chaos. Bouncing over to the other side of the ball, your thoughts on Peyton today? I feel like he is a divisive element in the sense that some people felt like Robbie had more panache today, but I thought Peyton was pretty solid in the things they were asking him to do.
I thought that he was very solid in what he was asked to do. I felt like he orchestrated the offense, got him in and out of good plays. You saw him make checks at the line of scrimmage. All the small things that you want to see him do. Yes. Is Robbie Ashford one of the most dynamic athletes I have ever seen at the quarterback position with his legs? Absolutely, and it's not even close. But you saw it today, still, when Robbie's asked to throw the football and to do so, Jay, the anticipatory part of playing quarterback is a huge part of it, because there are going to be times when the defense is going to absolutely sell out to take Robbie away. UMass is not capable of that. They don't have the personnel to do that. Alabama, LSU, Georgia, they do. And so when you get into a one-dimensional type game that Robbie sometimes presents, it becomes a mismatch for it puts the offense at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Peyton Thorne will help eliminate that. And I know, look, Robbie was electric in the red zone. I'm not trying to shit on him by any means. He has got a role on this team, and if he will continue to mature as a player and as a quarterback, the sky's the limit for the kid.
Damn.
But he's not there yet. And so as such, I think that Peyton Thorne has a very valuable role as a leader. He's got a very valuable role as a guy that completely understands the offense and is going to be able to get us in and out of bad plays. And you saw some of that today. Does he need to be a little bit more polished? Yeah, but that's part of what a UMass game is for, right? It's to knock the rust off somewhat. You're talking about a guy that came in June.
Yeah.
So he's been with this team for 2 months now. The receivers that he featured on the outside today, both of them got here in July, I think, or June, in Shorter and Shane Hooks. So, it's a work in progress from that standpoint. I don't want anybody to think that today was a finished product by any means. It's a sample size of what's to come. And I think with Peyton, his best football is in front of him, and I would hope everybody would understand that.
Yeah, you would hope everybody would understand that. But you don't necessarily know that.
No.
That's a conundrum right there.
No, you don't.
Hey, so coming into this game, I personally thought Auburn's going to win 8 or 9 games. Now Jarquez Hunter is out. He hasn't been playing. I don't know if that really changes my view on the team, Jhead. Honestly, I think this group at running back is so deep, and I love even like the third guy at this point is Cobb, and I love him. I still think they can get everything they want to get done without Jarquez. Your thoughts on that?
So have they made, and I haven't seen anything just yet.
Yeah,
I know
same.
that there are rumors out there. Have they made an announcement as to how many games, or is it still TBD?
I probably need to check that. Yeah, I haven't. I'm not sure yet. Let me see if I can get an answer on that, but continue.
So my answer is it's a little bit different in that Jarquez is your most seasoned back that you have on the roster. He's the veteran. He's the guy that has seen SEC action, and you know what he's going to do when he gets in those kind of environments. Is the talent base all that much different? Absolutely not. Damari Alston can get it done. Cobb can get it done. Obviously, a little scat back from USF. Batee can get it done. That's not a question to me. Look, Sean Jackson can get it done if he absolutely has to. But what I do like, and what I do think is worth probably a win in the SEC, is Jarquez's experience, specifically in pass pro. When you start to play teams that are going to do things a little bit differently, specifically from a blitz standpoint, he could be the difference in getting Peyton absolutely blown up on a play, and or being able to complete a touchdown pass. And you've seen Jarquez be able to stick his nose in there in the past, and he's not intimidated. And when he walks into a different, these are guys that haven't really played on the road just yet. Jarquez has. I mean, he's gone and made big plays in Red Stick.
Yeah, he has.
He's made big plays in Georgia. He's gone into these big environments. So it's not necessarily the skill set that you're going to miss, in my opinion, even though I do believe he's the best back. To me, it's the veteran presence, the calming presence that you would bring to that room, and the stability. So I think he's probably worth a win for sure.
Jhead doesn't look like Freeze addressed Jarquez in the post game. He did say of Peyton Thorne, quote, he made 3 decisions that weren't good. I thought he was really solid. We didn't ask him to do too much. So that's pretty much in line with what you were saying about Peyton. I mean, solid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Solid. It wasn't spectacular. It's not anything to to get overly excited about. But I think he did the things in Hugh Freeze's offense that he needed to do. Being able to identify fronts, get us in and out of bad plays, make throws. And look, he showed a lot of touch on that touchdown pass that he had. And then there were some miscues with some other plays he could have had. So, it was kind of a mixed bag somewhat. But I think he's going to improve. The more time he gets in this offense, the more time he gets with the receivers, them understanding where they're going to be on some of these choice routes, I think everything is going to continue to open up.
Let me ask you a little bit on recruiting. Braden Jacobs, the offensive lineman from Buford, Georgia, son of Brandon Jacobs, was here today. Had some nice things to say about Auburn. Do you think Auburn can pull this kid if they want this kid?
I absolutely believe they've got a shot there. Buford's not a school, so Buford is different in that it's not a school that predominantly sends kids to Georgia. It's that rare school up there in the Atlanta area that a lot of teams can go into, and the coaching staff there is not necessarily steering kids. And I'm not saying that all coaches are doing that, or even the coaches that do. They probably think they're doing what's in the kid's best interest. But that's not a school that does that. And so Auburn will have an opportunity to, and with Brandon Jacobs being this young man's father, he's going to know all about Auburn.
Yeah.
And I think probably what Brandon Jacobs is going to do is he's going to make sure that his son has the best opportunity, which is what me and you would do. He's not going to push him to any one place, but he's also going to make sure that he's open to it. And if he wants to come to Auburn and continue to come to Auburn to visit, he's going to have a way to do that.
I mean, to be fair, one of Brandon's best friends is Carnell, like in real life. And I mean, Carnell's on the staff here. And if he says, hey man, we're going to take care of your son, like that probably means a lot to Brandon,
I know it does. And look, just like it would to you, if your daughter were going to play softball, if she had Power 5 offers all over the place and a friend of yours said, look, I'm going to make sure that Maddie's taken care of. That means everything to you, right? Because you
absolutely.
don't have to worry. As a father, you can lay your head on the pillow at night and know that you've got somebody that's looking out for your child, which is one of the most important things in your life.
Absolutely.
So, that just goes to any father to have that kind of connection with somebody he trusts like that in Carnell. I mean, I think it definitely probably tips it in our favor if we really want him. He's 2025, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, correct.
So there's some there's still an evaluation process there somewhat, even though we did pick up a 2025 commitment today in Spencer Dowling. But I think the kid's very talented, and you obviously want to have a major presence in Atlanta and specifically in a school as talented as Buford.
What do you think? Do you have any thoughts on Spencer Dowling? I know he's a 3-star guy, not super well known. Anything stick out about him?
Yeah, that Jake Thornton loves him. Listen, sometimes, specifically this early, I don't get into the stars all that much. I get into who they've been offered by and how much does the position coach really like them. And everything that I heard on this is that he gelled immediately with Jake Thornton, and that Thornton thinks he's got an extremely high upside and the right mentality that he wants out of an offensive lineman. And both you and I know that regardless of what his skill set is now, or even his technical expertise, that is such a developmental position that if the clay's there, that's all that really matters, because you're going to be molded. And it's a position that most kids do not come in and start playing as a freshman. You're talking about a redshirt year and then at least another year before you're going to be seeing the field as a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah.
So don't get – for anybody that's hung up on stars as far as offensive linemen are concerned, do they have the body type? Do they have the offensive position coach where they want them? Is there eval there? That's what you should be worried about as far as that goes.
Word. Well, Jhead, I hesitate keeping you on too long, bro. I appreciate the time you give us, and, of course, we love you here at auburnsports.com. So thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Any other questions from the chat? I love being here. Love this platform. I'll stay on as long as you want. Don't worry about that. I mean, I hesitate to think that I like the sound of my own voice more than anybody else. But
nah, we Gucci, man. Thank you for hanging out with us. I don't know if I can get you next week, though, because, it's going to be like 2 a.m. when I need you, and you probably ought to be asleep by then.
Brother. I've got to actually make a run to the airport early in the morning, so I probably won't be able to do it next week.
Gotcha.
Maybe we can do it before the game. We can put some thoughts together before it. But,
yeah.
Hey, look, if we can make it work, dude, I will get up at 3 a.m. and take a phone call, I promise.
Appreciate you, Jhead. That's why you're such a legend, man. All right, Poppy.
Not at all, brother.
You be good out there, okay? Thank you for coming on for real.
Absolutely, brother. Love you, man. Talk
See
to you
bro.
later.
Bye.